What's really fascinating about leadership is how it tests our character in ways we never expected. Imagine living in a world where duty, honor, and personal freedom consistently clashes. That's the reality of Oscar in The Rose of Versailles. She's a woman raised as a man, caught between her personal desires and the weight of her responsibilities. And then there's Marie, the queen who struggles to understand the cost of power until it's too late. Their stories are just not about history. They're about the choices we make every day when we face with responsibility, morality, and the legacy we leave behind. While crafting this episode, I reflected on my own leadership journey times when I had to stand firm in my values, even when it wasn't an easy choice. By the end of today's episode, you'll gain powerful insights into leading with courage, making difficult decisions, and shaping a legacy that outlives you. If you want to understand what true leadership looks like and why it often battles between integrity and power, stick around because building a meaningful legacy starts with Welcome back, Zenroku fam. I'm Michael Yearby, your host here at Zenroku Podcast Network. Thank you for joining me today on another journey of self-discovery and leadership on Momentum Mondays. Have you ever felt torn between doing what's easy and doing what's right? We all been there. Leadership isn't just about giving orders, it's about making choices that define who we are. Today, we dive into The Rose of Versailles to uncover how Oscar and Maria's struggles reveal deep truths about leadership, responsibility, and the legacies we leave behind. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this episode to help grow our amazing community. Let's get it in. Last week on Momentum Mondays, we explored how Bacano taught us to embrace chaos without losing focus. We discussed how unconventional storytelling showed us the power of adaptability, the importance of finding clarity amidst disorder, and finding opportunities in unpredictable situations. If you missed that episode, be sure to check it out. It's packed with insights that can help you confidently navigate life's turmoils. Today, we're diving into 8 transformative leadership lessons in 3 categories, inspired by The Rose of Versailles. First, we explore how Oscar's struggle with identity and duty teaches us the importance of leading with authenticity. Then we uncover the hard-hitting reality of Maria's downfall and why leaders must stay connected to those they serve. Finally, we'll look into how both characters teaches us the power of legacy, how every action today shapes how people remember you tomorrow. These lessons aren't just historical, they're personal, and they challenge you to rethink how you lead in your own life. All right, grab your sword and turn into the grandeur of the 18th century France, because we're about to uncover the powerful leadership lessons hidden within The Rose of Versailles. Lesson 1, the weight of expectations versus personal identity. You won't believe this, but Oscar was born a woman, but raised as a man to fulfill her father's dream of having a son to lead in the royal guard. Imagine that, having your entire identity decided for you before you even had a choice. Man, that's crazy. The stories behind The Rose of Versailles place Oscar in a rigorous structure of the 18th century France, where gender roles and expectations are set in stone. Yet, she constantly wrestles with who she truly is versus who she's expected to be. This conflict drives much of her journey as she fights to prove herself in the world that wasn't built for her. This reminds me of my own struggles in the military, where expectations about leadership, masculinity, and toughness were ingrained in every aspect of the job. There were times that I had to suppress parts of myself to fit the mold of what was expected. Oscar's story highlights a powerful truth. True leadership isn't about fitting a role. It's about owning who you are. Her journey teaches us that the best leaders lead with authenticity, even when it means challenging traditions. Lesson 2, duty versus morality, the cost of doing the right thing. Here's something that blew my mind. Oscar dedicates her life to protecting the French royal family, yet she slowly starts realizing that the system she serves is corrupt. Imagine devoting everything to the cause, only to realize it stands against your values. The deeper she she dives into the world of nobility, the more she sees the suffering from the common people. This puts her in direct conflict with her sense of duty. Should she remain loyal to her post, or should she fight for what's right? This morale struggle is what makes her one of the most compelling leaders in anime history. This resonates deeply with my own experience, navigating leadership in environments where I saw things that didn't sit right with me. There were moments in my career where following orders clashed with my personal values, and still to this day, forcing me to make tough calls. Oscar's journey reminds us that great leaders don't just obey blindly. They question, they challenge, and they stand up for what's right. Leadership is about having the courage to make the hard choices, even when it comes at a cost. And trust me, it comes at a cost. Lesson 3. Leadership requires personal sacrifice. You won't believe this, but Oscar gives up everything. Her noble title, her privileges, and ultimately her life to fight for justice. She chooses to stand with the people during the French Revolution, knowing it would cost her everything. The idea that leadership comes with sacrifice is something many people don't fully understand. It's like just about making decisions. It's about putting yourself on the line for what you believe is right. Now, don't get it twisted. Leadership is not about dying on every hill, but it's choosing the appropriate times to speak. Because when you ultimately have to sacrifice something, you want to make it worth it. And that's things that I experienced in my own job. Like I said, this lesson hits home for me when I had to make tough decisions that impacted my future. Leadership sometimes means stepping away from the comfort and stepping into the unknown for the sake of something greater. I have these conversations all the time with my senior. I ask him, when is the right time to fall on your sword for someone? And he said, I'm willing to fall on my sword anytime. And sometimes you get burned and it makes you hesitant. But you have to be willing to take care of your people, sometimes at the cost and detriment of your own. So are you willing to take care of your people? Are you willing to be that leader? If so, keep watching. Oscar's story teaches us that true leadership isn't about power, it's about responsibility. It's about being willing to sacrifice for the greater good, even when it's difficult, especially when it's difficult. Now that we've seen how Oscar's battle with identity, duty, and sacrifice shaped her as a leader, let's turn our attention to Marie and what her downfall teaches us about staying connected as a leader. Lesson 4, the danger of losing touch with those you lead. You won't believe this, but Marie was so out of touch with the struggles of her people, she became the face of everything wrong with the monarchy. She lived in extravagance, which is nothing wrong with that, while the common people suffered. And when they cried out for help, she famously, though likely falsely was credited, said, "Let them eat cake." Whether she actually said it or not, the sentiment was real. She had no idea what people were going through. This reminds me of leadership situations where those in charge became disconnected from the people they're supposed to serve. I've seen leaders sit in their offices all day, make decisions without ever stepping into the environments where the teams are actually working. And sad to say, this happens in the military, where you have leaders in leadership positions. And I'm talking about masters. I'm talking about even higher than that. I'm talking about even the commanders. They will go not to find out what's happening in the environment, to understand what's going on, to make things better. They go to ridicule, they go to humiliate and destroy. And then they wonder why things don't change. And that's sad to say. It does happen in every profession, in every field. You have people who are drunk on power, drunk on leading. They don't know how to connect with people. And I'm not saying they have to be this so-called empathetic leader, but I'm saying they have to be a leader that understands your people, that listens to the feedback. Even when feedback is not the greatest thing you hear, right? When they tell you things are wrong, you go to them and say, okay, what's your solution on how we make it better? And listen. And let me tell you, nothing destroys trust and respect faster than a leader who doesn't understand the struggle of their people. Marie Antoinette's story is a warning to all of us. If you don't stay connected to those you lead, you lose their loyalty, and when its time comes, they won't stand with you. Lesson 5, ignoring problems won't make them go away. Here's something that blows my mind. Maria could have saved herself and the monarchy if she just had listened. There were countless warnings. The people's anger wasn't hidden, and there were advisors who tried to tell her what was coming. But instead of facing reality, she avoided it. She continued living lavishly, ignoring the crisis, and convincing herself that everything will work itself out. By the time she realized the gravity of the situation, it was was too late. The revolution was unstoppable. I've seen the same mistake play out in leadership roles, both in my career and in the world at large. When problems start brewing, whether it is failing projects, a struggling employee, or a toxic work culture, leaders who ignore the signs paid the price. Great leaders don't run from hard truths. They face them head on, taking action early and adapting before things spiral out of control. Marie Antoinette's downfall is proof that denial is one of the deadliest mistakes a leader can make. Lesson 6. Your reputation is your legacy. You won't believe how quickly Maria went from beloved to despised. When she first arrived in France, people adored her. She was young, beautiful, represented hope for the future. But her choices, her reckless spending, her refusal to engage with the struggles of the people, and her detachment destroyed her reputation. By the time she was in prison, there was no saving her image. People only remembered her failures. This lesson hit me hard. When I thought about my own career, the importance of reputation and leadership, you can build trust for years, but one bad decision or a series of small, careless ones can tear it all down. The truth is, people will remember how you made them feel more than anything else. If you want to leave behind a positive legacy, you have to lead with integrity, awareness, and connection. Maria's story is a cautionary tale of what happens when a leader neglects those things. Now that we've seen the consequences of losing touch with those you lead, let's turn our focus to the bigger picture. How both Oscar and Marie Antoinette stories teaches us the true meaning of legacy. Lesson 7. The legacy of courage. How Oscar is remembered. You won't believe this, but despite being born into nobility, Oscar chose to fight and die for the revolution. She abandoned her wealth, her rank, and everything she knew to stand with the people when it mattered most. In the end, she just didn't lead, she inspired. Her courage in the face of injustice became her legacy, and even in death, she was remembered as a symbol of integrity and resistance. I'm not gonna front, this really makes me think about the kind of legacy we leave in leadership roles. It's easy to focus on short-term wins, promotions, pay raises, personal achievements, but in the long run, what matters most is how we impact the people around us. Oscar teaches us that real leadership isn't about status, it's about standing up for something bigger than yourself. The question we all have to ask is, when people look back on my legacy, my leadership, will they see someone who stood on their values or someone who played it safe? Lesson 8. The legacy of indifference. How Maria is remembered. Here's something that blew my mind. Maria had the chance to change the course of history, but instead, she became the symbol of everything wrong with the monarchy. When people talk about the French Revolution, they don't just talk about the injustice, they talk about her. She became the scapegoat for an entire system's failure. Whether it was fair or not, her inaction sealed her legacy. This lesson is a hard pill to swallow because it reminds us that sometimes not acting is just damaging as making the wrong choice. Leadership is about responsibility. If you're in a position of power, whether that's a boss, a coach, a mentor, or even just a person others look up to, people will remember how you handle tough moments. Maria's downfall teaches us that legacy isn't about what you meant to do, it's about what you actually did. Now that we've seen how Oscar conquered and Maria Antoinette Indifference shaped their legacies, let's bring it all together and talk about what this means for your leadership journey. Let me share something unexpected. Leadership isn't just about power, it's about the choices you make when it matters most. First, we explore how Oscar's struggle with identity, duty, and sacrifice taught us the power of leading with authenticity. Her journey showed us that real leaders don't just follow expectations, they stand firm in their values, even when the cost is high. Then we looked at Maria Antoinette's downfall and how losing touch with the people you lead can be fatal. She ignored warning signs, avoided hard truths, and let her reputation deteriorate until it was too late. Her story serves as a powerful lesson that leaders must stay connected, listen, and take action before problems spiral out of control. Finally, we covered the truth about legacy, how leadership is remembered long after we're gone. Oscar's courage became her legacy, while Marie Antoinette's indifference became hers. The key takeaway: your leadership isn't defined by your title or position. It's defined by your actions and the impact you leave behind. So as you step into your own leadership journey, ask yourself, what kind of legacy am I building? Because the choices you make today will shape how you are remembered tomorrow. Leadership is not about having all the answers. It's about making choices that define your impact. We explore how Oscar's courage and Maria's indifference shape their legacies. And now it's time to think about yours. Whether you're leading a team, a family, or just your own life, the principles we're talking about today, authenticity, responsibility, legacy, are what will set you apart. This episode wasn't just about history or anime. It was about the real work of leadership. It took deep research and reflection to bring these lessons to life, because I wanted to create something that truly pushes you to think differently about how you lead. The effort was worth it, because if even one person walks away today ready to step into their leadership role with integrity, then I've done something powerful. So if today's episode gave you something to think about, don't keep it to yourself, share it. Support the channel by hitting the like button, subscribing, and spreading the word. And if you want to take this conversation further, drop a comment below and join the Zenroku community, where we keep things a little light, but discussions go on. Thank you for being part of this journey, Zenroku family. Until next time, keep leading with courage, staying connected to those who matter, and building a legacy that lasts. Peace.